Hi folks, thanks so much for stopping by. I'm Dr. Doug, and today I'm going to be talking about setting yourself up for VR exposure treatment. As you can imagine, VR goggles really range in price and quality. The cheapest pair that I found online were $16, which are going to be the first pair that I show you, and the most expensive would be well into the several hundreds of I was going to say several hundred thousands. There may be goggles that are several hundreds of thousands of dollars, but the ones that I saw online were in the several hundred range. For the purpose of VR treatment and getting the exposure therapy, really you can go with one of the lower priced ones because you're probably going to get limited use out of it unless you want to use them for the future of like watching movies or gaming. Or there are a couple of different varieties where the more expensive ones, those ones in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, the more expensive ones are called standalone or all-in-one, where they just connect with your computer or with your system. The cheaper ones, which are the ones that I'm going to show you today, are the ones where you actually use your cell phone and you stick your cell phone into the goggles and the program is being run through your phone. When you look for these goggles online, you're going to be doing a search for smartphone VR universal goggles, something to that effect. These first pair that I'm showing you are the cheapest ones that I found online. These were $16. And you see that there is a slot in the front for your phone to just slide into. What you'll also notice on these goggles are that there are dials on the left and right, and those adjust the distance between your eyes. And so you can really customize it depending on where each of your eyes focuses. That middle dial that you see is really for additional focusing, more fine-tuning. It's actually pretty nice that these goggles have that level of adjustment. The other thing that you'll notice about these goggles is that they are wide enough and deep enough that you can actually wear your glasses while wearing the goggles. These next pair were the pair that I bought for about $40. You will notice that it looks a little bit different than the other pair. First of all, these also have adjustments for the distance between your eyes, but these don't have the extra fine-tuning dial. One difference that probably has become clear to you is that these don't have a slot in the front like the other pair did. So these have a door that opens up and you stick your phone in and close the door back up. One benefit that I noticed with that type of setup is that it makes sure that there's no light leakage around your phone. My phone is a smaller phone, and so on that first pair, I noticed that there was some light leaking through because my phone sort of didn't cover up all of the field of view. With these, it doesn't really matter because you have this door that closes, and so there's no light that comes through. The downside, however, of this setup is that because it does have that door, these are actually significantly heavier than the other pair. It's not so significantly heavy that it's actually a problem, except if you are somebody who maybe has sensitive skin on your face, or for other reasons that maybe it bothers you to have weight sitting on your nose, or maybe you are prone to headaches or migraines, that sort of thing. In which case, you might steer away from a setup like this that has a door and maybe stick more towards the ones that have a slot because they are just so much lighter. The last difference that I noticed between these two goggles is the field of view. So the human eye, just like with our peripheral vision, our normal field of view is 220 degrees. Goggles, depending on how good they are, will range anywhere from like 100 degrees of vision to 200 degrees. I definitely did notice that with these two, that the cheaper pair, the field of vision was actually pretty significantly smaller than the other pair. Does that matter? Not really, because in the VR environment, the technology is such that you sort of get totally immersed into an environment. It's sort of like if you are watching a movie on your tablet. At first, you definitely notice that it's a small picture. And then if it's a movie that interests you, then you stop noticing it as much because you just sort of get sucked into the story. So that's what happens in the VR environment too. So it just matters less. However, if you're someone who just wants to get the biggest field of view that you can, then that would be something to take into consideration. And hopefully that would be listed in like the description of the goggles, or maybe someone left a review. This is someone leaving a review on the item. When you first put the goggles on, you're going to want to make sure that you make all of the necessary adjustments. So with the straps and with the interocular, with the distance between your eyes and any other ways of focusing that are on those particular goggles. On my website, I give more detailed instructions about this, of picking out the goggles and how to get it set up, what app you need to download, all of that stuff. Another really important but not necessary piece of the setup is to have a chair that rotates. The reason for this is because you will be interacting with the VR environment through your goggles in every dimension. So up, down, left, right, behind you, 360 degree. Having a chair that swivels allows you to just be able to move a lot easier and smoother. However, you'll see that in this next segment, I am in a stool that doesn't swivel, and I'm clearly still able to look behind me. It's just more awkward. While we're on the topic of chairs that move, another piece of setting up your environment for a VR session is to make sure that there's nothing around you that your chair is going to bump into or that your knees are going to bump into, all of that. So just practice swiveling and making sure that you have a clear path. And the number one rule of VR treatment is you never stand up. And the reason is maybe clear, that when you have the goggles on, you cannot see anything around you at all. And when you're immersed in the VR environment, because you feel like you're actually there, it will actually be quite tempting to want to walk around and to move, because you'll feel like you can. Like your brain sort of really gets tricked into thinking that, you know, that waterfall is just 5 feet away from you. If you were to stand up and start moving around, you would quickly invite disaster and apparently overacting. The final piece of the setup, which my fine actress did not do, is to make sure that you have some way of connecting to sound. When you're in the VR environment, you want to be able to immerse into as many sensory aspects as you can. And so being able to get that sound is extremely important. And you sort of don't want it to just be coming out of your computer speakers, because it's sort of too far away. So it needs to be something that's on or in your ears, whether those are earbuds or headphones, whatever it might be. And you'll just connect that to your phone. If it's wired, you connect it. And if it's wireless, then obviously you would not do that, but you know what I'm talking about. You want to be able to somehow connect directly into the sound that's coming from your phone. I hope that this was helpful for you to see what the setup is going to look like rather than just reading it in words for those of you who maybe need more visual information. So that's it, folks. I'm Dr. Doug, and I will see you next time.